Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Raghasudha, Head and Assistant Professor, Department of Microbiology, Government City College, Hyderabad, is here to talk on principles of laboratory diagnosis. Laboratory diagnosis of microorganisms is the main concern of a clinical microbiologist who plays a critical role in identifying the microbial pathogens that cause infectious diseases. The purpose of clinical laboratories is to provide the physician with information pertaining to the presence or absence of the microbial pathogens that may be involved in the infectious diseases process. In clinical microbiology, a clinical sample or specimen represents a portion or quantity of human material that is first collected from an infected person and then tested, examined, or studied to determine the presence or absence of a particular microbial pathogen. For this purpose, there are various methods are used. The steps involved in diagnosis are collection of the sample, handling of the collected samples, transportation of the sample, and finally lab diagnosis. Collection of sample. For collection of sample, various methods are being used depending upon the type of the sample to be collected. And here we will be going through various methods of collection of sample like swab, needle aspiration, intubation, catheter, clean catch method, and sputum cup method. Swab. Sterile swab is the most common method used for collect samples from the anterior nares or throat of a patient. A sterile swab is a rayon, calcium alginate, or Dacron tipped polystyrene applicator. Manufacturers of swabs have their own unique container design and instructions for proper use. For example, commercially produced manufacturers they use swabs. They produce swabs in this fashion. They have a collector and a swab, and some swabs also have a transport media wherein the collector swab is inserted into it. However, with the exception of the nails or throat, the use of swab for the collection of specimen is of little value and should be discouraged for two major reasons. The two reasons are swabs are often associated with great risk of contamination with surface and subsurface microorganisms while collecting the sample, and the amount of sample which is collected through this method is less than 0.1 ml. The next method is needle aspiration. It is used to collect samples aseptically, example anaerobic bacterium from cerebrospinal fluid, pus and blood. For needle aspiration, stringent antiseptic techniques are used to avoid skin contaminations. To prevent blood from clotting and entrapping microorganisms, various anticoagulants like heparin, sodium citrate are also used along with this needle aspirations. In the picture we can see needle aspiration from a nodule of thyroid gland. On the other hand, you can see an ultrasound ward is being used in order to detect where this thyroid with the gland is present, and after detecting the needle is used to extract the fluid from that particular location. The next method is intubation. Here, an intubation tube is inserted into a body canal or hollow organ. For convenience, intubation can be used for collecting specimens from the stomach. In this process, a long sterile tube is attached to a syringe and the tube is either swallowed by the patient or passed through the nostril into the patient's stomach. Specimens are then withdrawn periodically into sterile syringe. The most common intubation tube is Levin tube, which is shown in the picture. The next method is catheter. It is a tubular instrument used for withdrawing or introducing fluids from or into the body cavity. For convenience, urine specimens may be collected with the catheter to detect urinary tract infections caused by bacteria from newborns and neonates who cannot give urinary specimen voluntarily. Three types of catheter are commonly used for urine. Hard catheter is used when the urethra is very narrow or has a strictures. French catheter is a soft tube used to obtain a single specimen, whereas Foley catheter is used for collecting multiple specimens. In the picture you can see a catheter and how the catheter is being inserted into the urinary tract is also being shown in the picture. The next method is clean catch method. Clean catch method is the most common method used for collection of urine. After the patient has cleaned the urethral mucus, a small container is used to collect the urine. The optimum time to use the clean catch method is early morning because the urine contains more microorganisms as a result of being in the bladder overnight. In the clean catch midstream method, the first urine is voided. It is not collected because it may be contaminated with those transient microorganisms that normally occur in the lower portion of the urethra. Only the midstream portion is collected since it most likely will contain those microorganisms that are found in the urinary bladder. The next method is sputum cup method. It is also a most common method used for a collection of specimens from the lower respiratory tracts. Specifically sputum is the mucus secretions expectorated from the lungs, bronchi and trachea through the mouth, in contrast to saliva which is secreted in the salivary glands. So sputum is collected in specially designed sputum cups. The sputum cups allows the patient to expectorate a clinical sample directly into the cup. During laboratory diagnosis, the cup can be opened from the bottom to reduce the chances of contamination from the extraneous pathogens, or a suction catheter can be used to collect the sample from the cup. Here in the picture we can see a sputum cup with a suction catheter. Next, moving on to the next step in lab diagnosis is handling of collected samples. Immediately after collection, the specimen must be properly labeled and handled. The person collecting the specimen is responsible for ensuring that the name, hospital, registration number, location of the hospital, diagnosis, current antimicrobial therapies, name of the physician, admission date and the type of specimen collected are properly imprinted or written on the culture tube. This information must correspond to that written or imprinted on a label affixed to the specimen containers. The type or source of the sample and the choice of test to be performed also be specified on the request form. The next step is transport. Speed in transporting the specimens to the clinical laboratory after it has been obtained from the patient is of prime importance. Some laboratories refuses if the time is too long or transit is too long. Microbiological specimens may be transported to the laboratory by various means. Like certain specimens are transported in a medium called transportation medium during the transit. They are inoculated into the transportation medium during the transit in order to preserve the type of microorganism to be detected and to prevent its overgrowth. Many clinical laboratories insist that stool specimens are to be transported in a buffered preservative, whereas urinary samples should reach the laboratory not more than 1 hour of interval. Similarly, cerebrospinal fluid which is extracted from the patients should reach the laboratory within 15 minutes. While as virus samples are to be iced before transport and be kept at 4 degrees centigrade for 72 hours. If it is exceeding 72 hours, then it is to be frozen at 72 degrees centigrade. Here in the picture we can see on one side swabs with transportation media, and other side we can see a vial syringe which is used in anaerobic transport system, which contains a non-nutritive transport media that prevents diffusion of oxygen after sample addition and helps maintaining microbial pathogen viable up to 72 hours. And this anaerobic media, transportation media, usually consists of an indicator known as resazurin to ensure that the vials are in anaerobic condition at the time of introducing the specimen into the vial. Next, moving on to laboratory diagnosis. The general methods of laboratory diagnosis involves isolation of the microbial pathogen from the clinical samples collected and their proper identification so that the physician may successfully treat the patient. If clinically relevant microbial pathogens are to be isolated and identified, the specimen must be properly obtained. The clinician must ensure that specimen is removed from the acute site of infection. In addition, recovery of pathogens may not be possible if insufficient inoculum is taken. So, care must also be taken to ensure that metabolic requirements for certain organisms such as anoxic conditions are maintained. The laboratory investigation for microbial infections includes microscopy, culture techniques, biochemical reactions, serological identifications, molecular biology techniques, and bacteriophage typing. Microscopy. Microorganisms can be examined microscopically for a bacterial motility test and the motility of the microorganism, then morphology and staining reactions of the bacteria. Bacterial motility is determined by using hanging drop method, whereas staining, two types of staining methods are performed: gram staining method and Jeal-Nielsen staining method. Gram staining method will be detecting gram positive and gram negative bacteria, while Jeal-Nielsen staining method is used to detect acid fast bacilli in case of tuberculosis samples. Here is a picture showing gram positive bacteria and gram negative bacteria. Moving on to the next method is culture techniques. Culture media, various types of culture media are used depending upon the type of the microorganism to be isolated. So, isolation and identification of pathogenic organisms is very important. Here, culture media like liquid media, usually nutrient broth, meat extract, and peptone waters for preparation of sugar media, and growth of bacteria is detected by turbidity in case of liquid media. Solid media is used to observe the colony appearance, hemolytic activity, and pigments produced. On solid media, we can find out what type of microorganisms are being grown based on the colony characteristics. For example, Enterobacter produces uh, mucoid colonies with silver sheen on bismuth sulfate agar media. Similarly, Escherichia coli on eosin methylene blue agar media, they produce dark centers with greenish metallic sheen, whereas Klebsiella produces on eosin methylene blue agar, EMB agar, large mucoid brown colonies, whereas Pseudomonas on the same media produces translucent colorless to gold colored colonies. So based on the type of colonies produced, we can identify what type of bacteria are present in a given culture. The further identification of these microorganisms can be confirmed by biochemical reactions. So there are various types of biochemical reactions which have been used to determine the type of microorganism. For instance, sugar fermentation. Organisms fermenting sugar will produce acid only. Organisms fermenting sugar will produce acid and gas. Some organisms do not ferment sugar at all, which do not produce any acid or gas. So what type of sugar is being fermented by what type of organism can be determined in this particular test. Then production of indole, tryptophanase enzyme producing microorganisms can be detected in this particular method. H2S production, it depends on production of H2S from protein or polypeptides. It is detection by using a strip of filter paper containing lead acetate. The next biochemical reaction is methyl red test and Voges-Proskauer test. Methyl red test, it ferments glucose with production of huge amount of acids which lowers the pH and helps in detecting by methyl red indicator. Simultaneously we'll be testing Voges-Proskauer test, where production of acetyl methyl carbinol from glucose fermentation can be detected, where with in presence of KOH, the color of the medium will turn into pink color. Action of milk. Fermentation of lactose with acid production, red color if litmus indicator is added. So action on milk by microorganisms, that is fermentation of lactose, can be determined in this particular biochemical reaction. The other important biochemical reactions are oxidase test, catalase test, coagulase test, urease test. Catalase test is a common test which is used for identification of staphylococcus and differentiation of staphylococcus and streptococcus. Then coagulase test, it is used for differentiation of staphylococcus aureus from staphylococcus epidermidis. Then urease test, it is used to distinguish Klebsiella from Escherichia coli and Proteus from Providencia, and it is also used for identification of Helicobacter pylori. Next, moving on to next type of test, serological tests. One is direct serological test and second one is indirect serological test. In direct serological test, identification of unknown organism is done. Detection of microbial antigens by using specific known antibodies is performed in this particular direct serological test. Serogrouping and serotyping of isolated organism is performed. Whereas in indirect serological test, detection of specific and non-specific antibodies like IgM and IgG are detected by using antigens or organisms. Moving on to immunological tests, there has been a shift from the multi-step methods of growth and biochemical characteristics to unitary procedures with respect to the identification of microbial pathogens in the clinical samples. Biochemical tests require number of steps, whereas in very few steps we can obtain the identification of microorganism using immunological techniques. So these immunological techniques represent such as shifting immunological techniques employing detection of antibodies and antigens for identification of microbial pathogens from clinical samples and are easy to use. They give relatively rapid endpoints and are sensitive and very specific. The most widely used immunological techniques are agglutination, complement fixation, ELISA, immunoblotting, immunodiffusion, immunoelectrophoresis, radioimmunoassay, etc. Advantages of these rapid diagnosis: they are very highly sensitive and specific, high negativity and positive predictivity values, they have high accuracy compared to gold standard, simple to perform, rapid turnaround time, and they are very cost effective. Limitations of conventional clinical microbiology, like cultures and all. Culture, it is labor intensive, need for special media, prolonged period of time to culture. Some organisms are cultivable or artificial media is required, and they may pose some potential health hazards. Antigen detection, negative tests requires confirmation, affected by poor specimen collection and low microbial burden. Serology is unhelpful during early stage of infection. Unless and until antibodies have been built in a very good number, we cannot use the serological methods. Next, moving on to molecular biology techniques. Molecular techniques are extremely sensitive techniques available for detecting microbial pathogens. With the application of these techniques, it is now possible to analyze the molecular characteristics of microbial pathogens in a clinical laboratory. Microbial techniques do not depend on pathogen isolation or growth or on detection of an immune response to the pathogen. Since it is often difficult and sometimes impossible to grow some microorganisms in culture, microbial techniques are nowadays widely used. The techniques used are genetic probe or DNA or RNA probes are used in detection of a segment of DNA sequence in unknown organism using a labeled probe. Probe is nothing but it consists of specific short sequence of labeled single stranded DNA or RNA that form strong covalently bonded hybrid with specific complementary strands of nucleic acid of organisms in question. The next popular method is polymerase chain reaction, or in short it is known as PCR. Here amplification of a short sequence of target DNA or RNA is obtained. Then it is easy to detect using a labeled probe. The next method is plasmid profile analysis. Here isolation of plasmids from bacteria and determination of their size and number compared with standard strains by agarose gel electrophoresis is performed. Molecular diagnostics, it is most widely used method is PCR, which is highly sensitive, highly specific, and diversity. Nucleic acid probes, they do not amplify DNA. Real-time PCR for diagnosis of infectious diseases. Detect PCR product during synthesis. Requires fluorescence based detection and specialized detection instrumentation. Advantages are less time for results, improved analytical sensitivity, broad applicability like target characterization, load determination, etc. Other uses of molecular diagnosis is viral load monitoring, viral genotyping, bacterial resistant detection, and bacterial genotyping. I think all of us are very familiar with PCR technique in this COVID-19 time, and where the report shows the viral load on the patient's report. The next method is bacteriophage typing. Bacteriophages are viruses that attack members of a particular bacterial species or strains within a species. Bacteriophage typing is based on the specificity of phage specific receptor for cell surface receptors. Only those bacteriophages that can attach to these surface receptors can infect bacteria and cause lysis. On a petri dish culture, lytic bacteriophages cause plaques on lawn of sensitive bacteria. These plaques represent infection by the virus. Here in the picture we can see a bacteriophage structure wherein it appears like a spaceship, which consists of tail fibers, tail sheet, then internal proteins, a neck, and a DNA which is enclosed by a head. So in bacteriophage typing, the clinical microbiologists, they inoculate the bacterium to be tested onto a petri plate. The plate is heavily and uniformly inoculated with a cotton swab so that the bacterium will grow to form a solid sheet or lawn of cells. No uninoculated area should be left. The plate is then marked off into squares, and each square is inoculated with a drop of suspension from different phages available for typing. After the plate is incubated for 2 hours, it is observed for plaques. The plaque type is reported as a specific genus and species, followed by the types that can be infect the bacterium. So practical application using phages are important as a research tools. They're used as vectors in DNA recombination technology. Phage typing of bacteria is important in tracing sources of infection or for epidemiological purposes. Next, moving on to antimicrobial susceptibility testing. Antibiotic sensitivity testing, lab aspects of antimicrobial chemotherapy. In laboratory, we perform disk testing, breakpoint testing, MIC testing, automated methods, molecular methods, detecting resistant methods, and antibiotic assays. So these are various techniques which are used for testing antibiotic sensitivity in a laboratory. The most familiar one is disk diffusion method, wherein Antibiotic discs are placed on a lawn of on a bacterial culture and incubated for 24 to 48 hours, and after 48 hours we can see all the sensitive bacteria forming a clear zone, and this zone can be measured, and the diameter of the zone determines the rate of sensitivity of each microorganism against a particular type of antibiotic. And another method is MIC, minimum inhibitory concentration method. Here in the picture we can see tetracycline. Different concentrations of tetracyclines are being inoculated into a broth containing inoculated with a specific type of microorganism, and after incubation the MIC can be determined by the turbidity. And here we can see tetracycline, the antibiotic is sensitive to tetracycline at 2 micrograms per ml. So this particular concentration is used on disc diffusion test. So this picture shows again antibiotic sensitivity test on a plate, disc diffusion method. The blue color shows the growth of the microorganism, and the center one are different types of antibiotics, antibiotic 1, antibiotic 2, 3, 4 and 5 different types of antibiotics or different concentrations of antibiotics are used here, and wherein we can see after incubation zone of inhibition is formed, and this is measured using a scale. E-test. MIC reports are helpful in critical management decisions. Quantitative MIC data is prerequisite for the management of critical infections including sepsis, especially among critical care patients. So E-test is particularly valuable in such situations where on scale MIC are needed for treatment decisions. So here you can see various different types of antibiotic strips are being placed on the plate, and the strip consists of different concentrations of the antibiotic. So here we can see the sensitivity of the microorganism at different concentrations on a single plate, which is known as E-test. Thank you.